So let's talk about grammar. Is it, a lost art? For decades now, there's been this really powerful idea in language education that we should just focus on getting our message across, and the grammar will kind of take care of itself. But what if it's actually wrong? Today, we're going to dig in and ask, is grammar a cage of rules, or is it the key that unlocks real fluency?
I mean, it sounds amazing, right? Just surround yourself with a new language, listen to it, talk a bit, and poof, you'll just absorb it, kind of like you did when you were a little kid. This whole concept is called comprehensible input, and it's been a huge deal in language teaching. But the big question is, does this just talk approach have a hidden catch?
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big debate, then we'll look at a really surprising problem a lot of learners run into. After that, we'll dive into a much more natural way to think about grammar, and we'll wrap up with a whole toolkit of practical ideas to bring it all to life. It's kind of wild, but for something like 2,500 years, the answer was super simple. You learn a language by learning its grammar. That was it. But then, this revolutionary idea popped up and challenged everything. What if the goal isn't making perfect sentences? What if it's just being understood?
And this really gets to the heart of it. You've got two different camps. On one side, you have Team Accuracy. Their motto is, master the rules first, and then you can speak correctly. But the other side, Team Communication, says, no. Just focus on understanding and making yourself understood. The accuracy will come later, naturally. Okay, but here's where the plot thickens. What happens when you only focus on communication? Two researchers, Higgs and Clifford, discovered something really fascinating and kind of frustrating. They found a specific type of learner who gets super fluent, but their grammar never improves. They just hit a wall. To really see what this looks like, check out this proficiency scale. At the very top, level 5, the language is perfect, even sophisticated. But just watch what happens as you go down. By the time you get to level 2, yeah, you get the message. You member Communist Party? Sorry, no visa. It's clear, but the grammar? It is completely checked out. And this is that learner who gets stuck. Higgs and Clifford gave him a pretty intense name, the Terminal 2++. These are people who can talk for hours. They know tons of words, but their grammatical mistakes have fossilized. They've turned into permanent habits set in stone. And here's the really scary part. The research shows that once these errors fossilize, even hardcore training programs often can't fix them. It's a pretty strong case that just communicating isn't enough. So, what do we do? Do we just go back to the old days of memorizing endless verb charts? Absolutely not. The whole conversation has changed. The real question today isn't if we should teach grammar, it's how. How do we teach it in a way that actually feels natural, that sticks, and that stops that whole fossilization problem before it starts? And the solution is actually beautiful. Instead of teaching grammar rules in a vacuum, you teach them in the exact situations where people naturally use them. You just match the grammar point to its real-world job. This whole approach breaks grammar down into 3 main jobs or factors: social, semantic, and discourse. And what's so cool is that as soon as you figure out which job a grammar point is doing, you immediately know the best technique and the best resources to teach it. Let's break those down. First up, you've got social grammar. This is all about how we interact with people. Think about politeness. You wouldn't say, give me the file to your boss, right? You'd say, could you possibly send me that file? So the best way to practice this kind of grammar is, well, by practicing social situations, like role-playing. Then you have semantic grammar, and this is all about the core meaning of the words. Take the difference between a few and few. If I say, I have a few cookies, that means, hey, want one? But if I say, I have few cookies, that's code for don't even think about it. The meaning is everything. And the best way to teach that is to actually show it with pictures or real objects. And finally, there's discourse grammar. This is the stuff that acts like glue, connecting bigger ideas together into a coherent whole. A word like however is kind of meaningless on its own. It needs a sentence before it and a sentence after it to do its job. So you learn this kind of grammar inside things that tell a story, like songs or articles or poems. Okay, so that's the big idea. But what does this actually look like in practice, in a lesson? Well, it all comes together in a really simple 4-step model.
This whole process is designed to take a learner on a journey. First, they just see the grammar being used in a real, normal context. Then, they get to play around with the form a little bit, without any pressure to have a full-blown conversation. Next, they have to actually use it to accomplish something. And finally, the teacher gives them useful feedback. It's a natural cycle. All right, now this is where things get really fun, because once you start matching grammar to its real-world context, you can pretty much just throw out all those boring old worksheets. Teaching becomes something dynamic, creative, and way, way more effective. So instead of memorizing abstract rules, you're building a creative toolkit. You're telling stories to practice how to link ideas. You're doing little skits to get a feel for social language. You're playing games with real objects to nail down differences in meaning. It's all about creating an experience so the grammar has something real to stick to in your brain. I mean, just look at this. A simple song lyric becomes the perfect, natural way to learn about using be going to for the future. It's catchy, it feels authentic, and that rhythm helps burn the pattern into your memory way better than a dry textbook rule ever could. And what's so great about this approach is that the resources you need are literally everywhere. A picture you took on your phone is perfect for practicing comparisons. A bus schedule is a great tool for asking questions. And a story about what you did last weekend? That's the ideal context for practicing past tenses. The world itself becomes your textbook. So, when you put it all together, what's the big takeaway? How should we really be thinking about grammar in today's world? It's really about a fundamental shift in perspective. Grammar isn't a set of rigid, scary rules that you have to memorize. It's a dynamic, flexible toolkit that makes you a more powerful communicator. The goal isn't just to be correct. The goal is to be understood, to be persuasive, to really be yourself in another language. Which brings us right back to where we started. Is grammar a cage of rules that holds you back? Or is it the key that unlocks deeper, more authentic communication? When we teach it this way, naturally, in context, with a purpose, the answer becomes crystal clear. The art isn't lost, not at all. It's just been redesigned for the modern world.